Is your business struggling right now? You might think that it's because you don't have enough sales, but the reality is it's because you Is your business struggling right now? You might think that it's because you don't have enough sales, but the reality is it's because you don't have the attention of the marketplace. This is Attention Equals Dollars, where you'll learn to master digital attention and turn that attention into sales for your business. I'm your host, Luke Nestler. I'm a digital marketing expert and a master at getting attention and turning that attention into sales. You deserve more. Your business deserves more. And I'm here to teach you everything that I know on how to get the attention that you need and to turn that attention into dollars. Welcome to the Attention Equals Dollars podcast, where we come to you each week live from the Impact Media offices. We're here to help you master digital attention and turn that attention into dollars. The whole concept of this podcast is to help you develop your roadmap on social media. What do you say? Where do you say it? How do you say it? How do I get attention? And most importantly, actually turn that into sales for your business, because that's what it's all about. Today, we got an awesome guest. I'm excited to welcome her to the show. But before we get into it, help us help more people. The way we're going to be able to get the word out about this show is if you could subscribe and rate us on iTunes, whether you like it, whether you hate it. Let us know what you think. Give me your feedback and help us reach more people so that we can educate them as well. You can also like us on Facebook, on the Luke Nestler Facebook page, as well as on YouTube. And as always, if you like the show, comment and share. So we got an awesome guest today. Her name is Amanda Bucci. I'm super excited to have her on the show. Amanda is a 24-year-old lifestyle entrepreneur whose mission is to ignite the fire in others to grow into their true selves through a podcast, YouTube channel, Instagram, and other social platforms. Amanda's built her social media following through the perfect combination of consistency, transparency, and education, and always the secret sauce of being as authentic as possible. She does a great job of it. Her career began as a fitness educator. After making an impact in the fitness world, Amanda has grown into not just fitness education, but also one who shares her life experiences, lessons, and educational feats of personal and professional development. Amanda is now the proud CEO and founder of Bucci Radio Podcast, where Amanda and her guests provide fitness, personal and professional value-driven stories and experiences to help others grow, along with her online fitness coaching academy called Fitness Online Coaching Academy, also known as FOCA, and her Influencer Academy, a high-level coaching program for aspiring online fitness coaches and influencers to learn how to package their program and personal brand in order to create a sustainable and thriving business. That is a heck of a resume, and Amanda is the epitome of why we do this show. She's a social media badass. She's a real, genuine person. What you see is what you get, and she's figured out a way to take that attention, get that attention, and then monetize that attention. Amanda, I'm pumped to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. That was an epic intro. I super appreciate that. I'm excited to talk to your people today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always like to start off the podcast with an interesting accomplishment or tidbit or fact. And normally I have the guest tell me what it is, but I'm going to tell you what the interesting tidbit is. And I want to let you kind of elaborate on it.
So much easier. I was racking my brain. I was like, what's interesting?
So at least in my opinion, I think the interesting bit of information about Amanda Bucci is she met her strapping, young lad, her boyfriend, Brian Decosta, who is a friend of mine, from YouTube. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Briefly tell me that story. I think that is so cool.
This is a good story. So I was posting on YouTube a couple times a week, and he was a follower of my channel, and he was commenting on my stuff, like random funny things. It wasn't creepy, but it wasn't super long where it was really obvious. Like, It was just kind of like a funny little tidbit here and there. And I never usually go into the comment section and then click on other people's profiles, because for the most part, if you're in the YouTube comment section, you're not also a YouTuber unless I kind of know who you are. And they're just kind of random profiles. It's not like Instagram where you can click on someone and they also have an Instagram account. It's YouTube is just like people following other YouTubers. They don't necessarily have their own account. So
Sure.
I didn't really go to click on his page, but he also commented on my Instagram, and I was like, this is interesting. I definitely recognize the name, and I'm single. I was single at the time, and I was looking at people's commenting and stuff like that. I was like, oh, like hot looking guy. His profile picture looks whatever. So I clicked on him. And I also noticed that he had his own YouTube channel also. So he had about 10 videos at the time. He just started his YouTube channel. And it was like, I watched one of his videos. The second that he started talking, I was like, yes, you are going to be mine. I already love you. Like, it was just the way that he talked.
Oh, that's awesome.
The way that he presented himself, like the words, and so we have the same mindset about a lot of things. So I just connected really instantly. And then I went to stalk him on Instagram, and then I was like, hey, what's your Snapchat? And we started texting and FaceTiming really quickly. And then like 2 weeks later, I flew out from California to DC to go meet him. And then the rest was history.
That's amazing. Who needs farmersonly.com or Match or Tinder when you're just really good at getting attention on YouTube? And what I think is cool is, for those who don't know, Brian is also a fitness entrepreneur, a social media influencer. And I think what's cool is Brian retired himself from the corporate world about the time that you all got together.
Yeah.
Through
right
the same thing.
Time. He was like transitioning, and he knew he wanted to make it a life for himself. And I think like when we started dating, it really solidified the fact that he could do it too. Mm-hmm. Because he was seeing me do everything, and he knew he could do it, but I think it just really solidified it for him, and he's crushing it now. So
yeah, that's awesome. So enough about Brian. I want to dive into your story. So take us back to the beginning. What got you started in social media, and when did you realize, hey, this thing actually has legs to grow and to take my career somewhere?
Yeah, so when I got started in social media, I had no intention of doing attention equals dollars. I had just the intention of I wanted to connect with people. It was just really me wanting to put myself out there. And I just started my fitness journey, and there wasn't really a whole lot of people in my network in person, in my real life, that I could connect with, because I was just kind of in my own head about it. I was really passionate about it. I was in college, and I would stay in on Friday nights and go to the gym in the morning. There wasn't really a whole lot of people doing that. So I really just wanted to share what I was doing, but connect people while I was doing it. Like, imagine being so passionate about something, but nobody else gets it. So Totally. That's what I did, and I made a separate Instagram called Amanda Bucci Fit, which was what it used to be. I have now retired Amanda Bucci Fit, and I am just Amanda Bucci now. All right. And that's a different story. But either way, I started this whole separate Instagram account posting my fitness journey, and that's the one that grew. Originally, it was private. I was terrified. I did not want to make it public. I didn't want people in college and my peers to make fun of me, and they kind of already did. So I posted a little bit about it, and I alluded to the fact that I was going to start doing fitness stuff. And I eventually just started gaining a little bit of traction. And I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to make this thing public. I'm going to go all in on this. And by the time that I was a senior in college, I had retired my little personal account, and I was just using my fitness account for my postings.
So I'm going to stop you right there. Let's talk about that for a second, because I think that's something interesting for those of you that are watching right now. I get this all the time from clients that I'm really trying to push to get them to share their story and let people know, the difference between you and the next person. It's not the logo on the door, it's you. So you had said something, you wanted to share yourself, your story, and put yourself out there, but then you were scared to actually do it in with the public eye on it. So I was going to ask, what about the people that are afraid and don't want to share their everything and their stories, but you actually were scared. You were doing it, but then it wasn't actually public. So what did you do to actually take that leap of faith and just say, you know what, screw it, I'm going to let everybody know about this?
Yeah, good question. I come across that a ton too, and I think for me, what I did was make that Instagram private, and I posted my story in a little safe space of people who only wanted to follow me for fitness. And it was a couple thousand, maybe a couple hundred or whatever for a little while. And it was safe for me to post there because I could accept people, and there wasn't these scary peers that I didn't want to accept and let them see that side of myself. If I were to look back and give myself advice now, I would tell myself that you can't do something just in like, if you're looking for validation that what you're going to be doing is good or not, I'm going to tell you right now, you are validated by me. Share your story and do it publicly, even though it's scary. For me, I was like, let me post in this little safe space. And then once people started validating me that that was a good thing, that like they liked my story, that they liked what I was doing by comments and likes and follows, then I was like, okay, great, I'm going to make it public now. However, what I'm trying to get across is the fact that the validation of like the positive comments or the negative comments shouldn't validate whether or not you start. So I let those validations speak to my next decision. But what I should have done, and what I tell people to do now, is that regardless of who tells you this is good or this is not good, you should put yourself out there anyway. And yeah, you should see what happens. Like, you're not going to die. There's going to be 90% of people, maybe 100% if you don't really have anyone following you right now, that are going to validate you and say, this is awesome. How cool. Like, I relate to your story. I connect with this. You're not alone. Me too. Like, people are going to start doing that. And I can tell you that right now, even though you're scared, that's exactly what's going to happen, because I've done it time and time again.
I love that.
But don't let those validating comments be the deciding factor of whether or not you move forward. You should move forward anyway.
Right. So what about the 35-year-old male that's not, not great looking like Brian is? Or what about the 45-year-old, stay-at-home mom that wants to start her business that doesn't have, the appearance and the personality of you or some of your peers? What about, those folks when they start posting and nothing happens? They don't have all the comments. They're not getting haters. They're not even getting lovers. Yeah. They're literally just getting nothing. What do you say to those folks?
So I have two pieces of advice for those folks. Number one, stop following people like me and Brian. Maybe just press the unfollow button.
Yeah, Brian makes me feel bad about myself sometimes.
Well, yeah. So the thing is, there's a lot of people online that will post about themselves and have them be the hero. And what that means is that they're posting about their journey and how easy it is for them and how awesome they are and how motivated they are and what opportunities that they're getting. And I used to fall into the trap of doing that too, because my personal brand was just me sharing my story. And now my brand is me serving others and me being a service provider for others. So it's not always about me anymore. It's just about me being the guide, not the hero. So there's people and there's accounts that probably make you feel like crap. Unfollow them. Stop comparing yourself to them. You aren't them and you're not going to be them. So unfollow people who make you feel bad about yourself. Follow people who are similar to you or similar in the space and that are succeeding, because there's so many people that are successful that don't have the quote unquote good looks or super charismatic or whatever, and they're successful in their own space. So someone like the person on YouTube that has the most subscribers ever, PewDiePie, he has like 54 million subscribers. He's not like the best looking person or whatever, sure, but he's super successful because he can connect to people. He knows how to drive attention. He knows how to be entertaining. He's not, the most beautiful looking person ever, but he still has a personality and he still has something. So the third piece of advice is to find that something that you are really strong at, whether that thing is writing, whether that thing is creating Facebook posts and connecting to people through text, whether that is just you being awesome on video and just letting your speaking skills and your people skills and all of that stuff shine through video. Maybe you don't need to be on Instagram posting like selfies of yourself or whatever, but you just have to choose the platform that's going to be the strongest for whatever your strong suit is.
Yeah, I love that, because there are so many people that get caught up with the way they look, or my favorite is I sound so weird on camera. Like, just all these...
That I sounded weird on camera. That was one of my things.
Yeah.
I have made 450 videos, but my first objection to myself was I hate my voice.
Yeah. Everybody says that. Everybody says that. And I always tell people, you those little excuses, those superficial excuses are what is holding you back from actually letting the world know that you're the best at what you do, at least in your town. There's so many experts locally and nationally that nobody knows about, because they're afraid to talk. So I guess let's jump right to this. So when did you realize that, look, I'm getting really good at getting this attention. I've got people engaging with my content. My subscribers are going up. There are people liking and sharing. when did it hit you that, you know what, I think I can actually turn this attention into something, into a business, into sales? When did that light bulb go off, and what did that look like?
So there were two periods of time. The first period of time was when I was just growing on social and I was sharing my story about my bikini competitions and basically whatever I was doing. So the thing was that I was doing was that I was going through a personal journey, and instead of sharing my previous stories, which is what most people do, if you're an expert in the industry, you're going to be sharing old stories. But for me, I was sharing like a very relevant current journey that I was going through. And I wasn't necessarily the expert, but I was teaching everything as I was learning it. So if you are not the expert yet and you want to build authority, you need to show your journey through social and show people this, like you're essentially storytelling in the moment. Does that make sense?
I love that. Absolutely.
It's super powerful, but if you can do it while you're doing it at the exact moment, not only are you storytelling, but you're incredibly relevant because you're doing it now. So as I was sharing, things were growing, people were enjoying it. I wasn't doing any business, but one girl in my town was like, I would love for you to coach me. I see what you're doing for yourself. Can you do it for me? So if you are sharing what you're doing and you're, teaching people stuff and you're giving value, someone's going to eventually ask you, can you help me do that also?
Because do you think it's because so the people that try to fake it till they make it and pull the whole smoke and mirrors thing, you're not relatable when you're doing that. So when you're showing your journey, do you feel like you had people starting to reach out because they felt comfortable and they felt safe reaching out to you, as opposed to if you look, I've this 5-time winner of this and that, and you seem unapproachable because you're acting like you're already somewhere that you're not. Do you think it's that journey that brings you down to their level a little bit?
Totally. And there's a couple different levels that you might be at depending on who's listening. You might be the complete beginner that has to still go through their own transformation, and that is your advantage. So use that to your advantage. Or you might be at the level where you're already really good at what you do. You did go through a transformation already where you learned how to do it. And that's when you need to use the stories of people who you've helped to leverage your storytelling to get down to their level and have them be relatable to you. Because you might not be, like for me, I'm going through this journey now where I'm not necessarily relatable anymore to a lot of people because I've been in fitness for 8 years and I have become successful, and now I'm helping serve people and having them do it. So the stories of my clients who went from 0 followers to 15,000 followers in a couple of months, like that's far more relatable than me, who's over here 4 years later, have 600,000. Like that's not, like the gap is way too large now. So there's two different leverages there, and wherever you are, you just have to understand where your leverage is at.
Got it. So how can someone that, what they show and talk about every day, it's not as interesting as the human body, fitness and competing and building up for the show. Let's say it's insurance. Let's say it's a real estate agent. How can they leverage platforms like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube to show what they're doing, position themselves as an expert, so that they can later monetize that? Is it the same step? Is it telling their story? Or?
It's similar to an extent. So there's where I really think about your brand and who your ideal audience is. So there's someone who is in a mastermind with me, and he is a homeowner expert real estate agent person, and he was really trying to figure out his strategy. And what we decided is that he has to be the person that is on the level of those millennials who are interested in home ownership but don't think that they can even consider it. And for me, I'm like, I'm your ideal client. Here's what I would be interested in.
Right.
So for someone who's not talking about something as interesting, your personality has to shine through so you can make it interesting. So that guy is like, he's pretty charismatic. Like I can relate to the guy. He's like in his later 30s, I think. I'm 24. But he's cool, and like he dresses cool, whatever. And I feel like if he made videos where it was just talking about certain things that are kind of over my head or something that's not as sexy to talk about,
sure,
if he brought them down to the level of the ideal client and made videos around them, maybe they're like nicely produced, maybe there's a person who's in my shoes who is being brought through that journey, maybe a client of his, that he can show their story. So like I said, if you are not your ideal client, you have to have a client that is your ideal client that you can tell their story through your brand.
Yeah.
So that's where you think about more of a brand rather than, if you aren't your ideal client, you have to separate yourself and use other people's stories to build your brand.
I love it. I love it. So tell me what it looked like when you did start to actually monetize. So I guess a good example now is your course. You have this attention on you. There's a whole other side of your business that, the influencer space, to where brands want to be associated with you because you have the influence on their customers. But something that's more relatable to every small business in America is your course, or your FOCA. Am I saying that right, FOCA?
Yeah.
So that's your product.
Yeah, I know the huge difference that I realized this last year is that influencer and small business owner are totally different. So I have experienced a couple of different things. As an influencer, I've experienced just brands reaching out to me and wanting to put their products in my videos and on Instagram and stuff like that. That's what I used to do. I don't do that as much anymore because I now have FOCA is a separate brand for me that can live on without me promoting it. It doesn't need my personal brand to back it. Like, that's what's kind of happening now until we make it its own separate thing.
Sure.
But it's similar to most people who are listening to here because it's a standalone thing. It doesn't necessarily need me to be the driving factor behind the sales. It needs really strong email list. It needs really strong connection to the audience. It really needs strong copy to connect to people. And a lot of the time I'm going to be the person that's marketing because it's my product right now. But in the next 5-10 years, we want to get it out of my hands and into
Sure.
the hands of, let's say, Facebook advertisements. Let's say its own email list. Let's say other kinds of affiliates that would love to promote that product. So there's a couple different things. Definitely get people into an email list. If you don't have one, definitely start building one. Email is where people can open up your stuff and read from you directly that day, and you can nurture them through opening up something that they go to look at every single day.
Right.
Facebook and Instagram, is a little bit more difficult to get people to purchase things. It's a whole different strategy. But email is where you can talk to people directly in their inbox and communicate with them through email kind of copy. Facebook advertisements are definitely a way to get people to opt into something. And then the other side of that is organic growth. So
Sure.
Organic growth on Facebook is a little different than just growing through paid advertisements. That means specifically a couple different things: doing live Facebook video and making sure that you're working with the algorithm. Facebook loves live video. And then creating content for Facebook that is going to go more viral. So videos do really well on Facebook, which, dependent on your niche and your brand, having some really strong strategically created videos that will help drive up your likes and stuff like that so you can get organic growth is really great. And then also just live video pretty often, because Facebook pushes out live video more than it will like a photo or just text.
Got it. So in all of those different marketing tactics are extremely important, but I think what's really important for you watching to understand is if there's not a relatable face, or in better words, an expert associated with that advertisement, it's not going to convert. So I think something that's special about you, Amanda, is yes, all those tactics work, and that might be something you're doing now or you plan to do later, but the reason people would buy FOCA or any of the products that you have or any of your other fitness influencer friends have is because they look to you as the expert, because you've positioned yourself there by doing what we talked about earlier, not letting what the others think about you, keeping you from actually sharing your story. Then when you start to share that story, others start to realize, oh wow, that was really informational, that was really insightful, wow, she's an expert at what she does, so that when you do say, I have this product that can help you get from here to here, people are going to convert because they relate to you. Would you agree with that?
I would agree, and there's like another caveat to that. So there's two different things that you want to look at. You want to look at the authority and the expertness, which means you do have to focus on putting out valuable content. You do have to make videos that are informational. You do have to give people as much value as possible and just give out your knowledge and free stuff so they know that you know what you're freaking talking about, really. Right. And then the other factor of that is that this is where, your Facebook posts and then your Instagram stories and all of that stuff comes in, you have to show your personality, because people don't just buy information, they buy emotionally, and they have to be emotionally connected in one way or another. And the best way to get people emotionally connected and invested in you is sharing your story. So think about any kind of movie, like Star Wars. Like, people are emotionally invested because they can see themselves as the Luke Skywalker, like the hero, the person that is struggling and needs to meet like Yoda and those characters that are helping him through and getting to the end and being successful and victorious in the end, because they relate to him and they have to understand, you know, his personality, his characteristics. They have to see themselves in him to an extent. And the way that people see themselves in you is not necessarily just you giving out the information, but it's like your favorite Spotify playlist, or the fact that you have a dog and that you're also married.
So
and
what about the people,
like that.
And I completely agree with you. And so we addressed this before, but what I see is when somebody says, well, what about the people that don't want to see my content? Well, we gave them a response to that already. But what would you say if that person yet again comes back and says, well, I'm not comfortable sharing, you know, my story, or my favorite excuse, I'm so busy during the day, I don't have time to put myself on camera and share. So what would you say to those people that are still reluctant to put that content out just because, and we'll use time as an excuse, I don't have enough time? You're not sitting there, Amanda Bucci is not sitting there at all hours of the day doing this. I know you're not, because you're an entrepreneur. So what would you say to those people that think that we spend all hours of the day on social media and they don't have time for that?
Make the time, because social media growth is a long-term strategy, and maybe you don't see the return on investment immediately like you would if you did a paid Facebook ad, and then you got the conversion rate and you know the open rate of your email, like all that stuff. Like, the numbers are nice, but building authority on social media is a long-term strategy, because that's where our world is going. So if you don't have the time, you have to make the time. So what I do during the week, I have a day, and like having these specific days is really helpful just for batching and to make sure that you're not losing out energy by switching the hats that you wear during the day. But ideally, my week looks like Monday meetings, Tuesday filming videos, Wednesday catching up on my writing and like commenting back to social media posts, and then doing some strategy, Thursday recording podcasts.
So you're blocking that time in there, in addition to what you have to do professionally, which is record your lessons, coach your athlete, your clients, actually work out. That might look like, you know, a real estate agent having to go show a house. Whatever they do during the day, you have that busy work as well. So what you're saying is you're just blocking out moments in time throughout the day to where now's my time to engage and catch up on comments. Now's my time to do a Facebook Live. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you just have to like batch out the specific time that you can do that. And if you can get it to the point where you're doing it on certain days, that's great. But just to get started, maybe you have 2 hours at the end of the night. Maybe one of those hours is focused on strategy, so what kind of videos that you're going to create. And the next hour is just focused on creating 2 or 3 really, really focused videos, and maybe just doing your Facebook Live every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Whatever it is, you just have to put it in your schedule and make it a priority for yourself, because it is a long-term return on investment for you.
Sure. So for those sitting at home saying, you know what, man, it would be nice to be young and pretty and in shape and have all these followers, and life must be good for Amanda and her tribe, and there are no worries. And I know, even though, you know, we don't know each other that well, I know you're an entrepreneur. I know that is complete bullshit to think that you don't have any worry in the world. You just live the life on camera and everything's, you know, butterflies and rainbows. There's the stuff that people don't want to deal with. Talk to me about the scary times that come along with being in business and the business of actually getting attention. Do you go through struggles, or is it just, I'm living it in California, no worries in the world?
Perfect, I have no problem.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's really easy for people to put that on me or anybody else who's successful. It's really easy to toss it off to luck, or you know, you don't have any struggles and everything has just worked out really well for you. It's really easy to do that when you're not comfortable with what you're doing, and you're not comfortable with your own success, and you're not comfortable with your path that you're on. It's really easy to toss that off to the people that are, you know, making it, that you want to be at their level.
The grass is always greener, right?
It's super simple. But the hard thing is to understand those people and to understand they're probably a human. They probably have their own personal struggles. And that's why it's important to share them. Because, for example, if you end up being that person that is living the dream in California and you're making millions of dollars a year, whatever it is, if you end up being that person, I hope that people give you the grace to really understand who you are as a person because you've shared your struggles. I hope people give you the benefit of the doubt because I want people to give me the benefit of the doubt. I hope they give you that, whoever's listening. So for me, some of the biggest struggles are definitely imposter syndrome. I talk about how to go through that all the time, but I deal with it myself. Definitely transitioning from just doing influencer stuff to actual entrepreneurial stuff. I have to kind of prove myself as someone who's 24 years old, someone who is new to creating businesses, someone who's kind of just like getting their feet wet into the industry, but I really want to be an authority in the industry, and I'm working towards that every single day. I'm taking steps towards that, but I have to overcome that stereotype, number one. It's really, really difficult. It kind of puts me down a little bit sometimes. I've had to do a lot of work around that. Number two, putting yourself out there sucks sometimes. I have had so many people tell me that I am a scam artist, that I'm too fat to be a fitness influencer, you know, all these like really crazy things that I could just probably go on forever about. I did a podcast called How to Deal with Criticism, and I've read my top 5 critiques from trolls on YouTube, and that was like the way that I started out the podcast. And I just said like some of the craziest things I've heard about myself on social media, and that can like, if you're not a confident person, that could throw you straight into a depression. Easily. Super easily.
So those are the things that little things like that you know, and if you don't follow Amanda, be sure and go follow her on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You know, somebody that's just completely off their rocker and you know, says that you're a scam artist or that you're too fat to be in fitness. Those are little things that if you listen to the you know, not even the 1% of the people that you are actually influencing every single day, if you listen to those people, then, you know, someone like Amanda would never be able to put her brand to where it is today. So how it's relatable to you watching or listening today is if you worry about that one person that says, why are you filming yourself on camera? Or don't you have anything better to do? If you're trying to position yourself as the expert and you let that one little bit of hate stop you from doing it, you're screwing over so many people that you could help.
Can I tell a story?
Yes, please.
So one specific thing that happened to me this year was that I did an affiliate deal with a friend of mine who has a similar health service, but it's different to what I do, and I never would make that. So he asked me if we could do an affiliate thing, and I was like, great, sounds good. But the wording on his website made it seem like we were selling a cure to eating disorders and profiting off of it. That's obviously not any of my intention, but regardless, that started this whole thing called Fat Girl on Couch. You could probably go request it and check it out right now on Instagram. But they're like a 10,000 follower account. They built their following by talking badly about fitness influencers. So like everything that I post, they screenshot and like talk shit about basically, which is just mine. They made a whole hour-and-a-half long podcast about me, and it took me a while to get to the point where I could literally ignore it, because if I did do this, I did focus on it really heavily, and I talked about it, I made it a big thing. I wanted people to know that I wasn't this and that, like whoever was reading it, it's wrong, don't look at it, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to just defend myself as much as possible, but there was so many people that were like, you're focusing on the wrong people. You're focusing on
I love that.
Like, there's so many people that follow you that love you. Like the reason that they're winning is that you're letting them win. You're letting them have the power. And then if you give the power back to yourself, we're going to love you like we always did.
I think I'm so glad that you bring that up, because a lot of people that are watching this or listening to this are seeing you as you're an internet sensation. You're a social media rock star. So hearing that you get this as well, and it bothers you, and I think that's good to hear, and it's normal. I mean, I walk around. I have an ego, but I don't like when people dislike me. I don't like when I upset people, and a lot of people would never guess that that's the case. It bothers me. It bothers you, and I think that the most important thing from that is what you said. The people commented to you and said, you're focusing on the wrong thing. So you're letting that distract you and go off this direction instead of making forward progress. And if someone like Amanda gets it, you're going to get it as well. what I like, and Grant Cardone's the one that actually pointed this out, you're not doing it right if you don't have somebody that is disagreeing with you or hating on you. It's not just Kim Kardashian and Donald Trump. It's exactly.
Yeah, it's actually a good thing because those, like, if you go into it expecting to polarize people and expecting people to disagree with you, number one, you can build up a little, like, I planned for this kind of wall.
Sure.
And two, you can build a connection that's more deep with the people that do agree with you. So, for example, if you say, I hate rap music so much, if you follow me and you like rap music, just unfollow me. People that like rap music probably will be like, what the hell? But the people that don't will love you so much more because they say, me too, I totally agree. That's exactly my feelings about it. That's what I tell all my friends. Like, they connect with you so much more strongly. But if they just think like, oh, I like all music, they don't really connect with that, you know?
So it's vanilla messaging. So I love that. I tell people, if you try to please everybody, you're going to end up being so boring that you don't appeal to anyone at all. So it's important to take a stand. Amanda takes hers, Brian takes his, I take mine. You have to have a position. Your brand has to have a position in the marketplace that is not necessarily polarizing, but at the same time, yeah, I will go with polarizing. It has to be something that is not, well, I would say it this way, but I don't want to offend you. Mine, I don't believe in traditional media at all. I tell people you are wasting your money if you spend it on TV ads, radio ads, newspaper ads. I go right at the throat of that industry. So I take a really hard stand. I've gotten text message threats. I've gotten business owners that I've pissed off because they've spent money on that. But for those that I make mad, you have raving fans as well. So I love that.
Take a hard stand on like traditional education. Like, I got my nursing degree and I don't do anything with it, so I'm trying to help people avoid that problem for themselves and really take a long, hard think about whether or not you're really going to go to college.
Is that where you were going to go? Were you going to go into nursing until you realized that, hey, there's potential in this?
Yeah, that was like pretty much my story up until I didn't pass the NCLEX, and I was making just about as much as I would make as a nurse my first year out of college, just doing fitness coaching.
I love that.
And that was my decision. I had to make the decision: do I continue with this, or do I go with being an entrepreneur? And that was my heart. So
let me frame it this way for the audience. If Amanda has gone so far to the extreme that she does not have what a lot of you would consider a normal job. She doesn't answer to somebody. She doesn't have a boss. She has literally turned herself into a business, like Jay-Z would say, right? So if Amanda realized that, you know what, the internet is so powerful that I don't have to go work for this hospital, I don't have to go work for this company, I could turn myself into my own business, and that's exactly what you've done. You can do it as well in your profession. If you are looked at as the number one, whatever it is, personal trainer, real estate expert, insurance broker, the way you're going to do it is to follow very similar steps that Amanda has taken that I've talked to you about in the past. Because if someone can build a brand and monetize their own self, just like you've done, somebody can absolutely leverage these same tools to set themselves apart from their competitor. If you had to give them your number one tip on how to get that attention, what's the one thing that sticks out in your mind that this, every time I do this, this is always my go-to when I don't know where to turn, I come back to this one thing? What would that one tip be, Amanda?
Tell your story on video. Just even if it's not the one story that you have, but be on video, because most of the platforms at this point, YouTube, Facebook is favoring video. Instagram will probably be more video than photos in the future. Tell your story on video, whether it's your long drawn out story or maybe it's just a quick story of what happened to you today. Just be on video sharing a story, because if you've ever read Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, I try to kind of filter my content through that little framework that he's built. Like, who's the hero? Not you. You are the guide. You are the Yoda. The customer is the hero. So that's always going to be something that works. So you're the guide. Who's the hero? What's their problem? What's the internal problem, external problem? What is the solution? What's the success, and what's the potential loss, aversion, or failure? And you just share something quickly through that. Like last night, I just made a little 10 story Instagram story. And I tried to just think about that framework really quickly as I was talking about something, because I'm in a launch right now. And I just did that really, really quickly. And it wasn't like a long drawn out story, but it hit a couple of those points from that book. And there is a piece of content right there.
Sure.
So if you think about telling your story through video, it's always going to be really powerful, whether that's your personal story or your brand story.
I love that. I love that. So, Amanda, it's been awesome having you on. There's a lot of the things you've said have been extremely helpful, and if you are watching and listening closely, it should be life-changing for your business. Amanda, you talked about you can't look at what others are saying and take it to heart and let that deter your message. In fact, if somebody is making you feel down and you're looking to them and comparing yourself, you suggest just completely unfollow them. And the biggest tip that you have is video. You've got to share your story, tell your story on video. I really appreciate you being on here today. I love following your journey. Where can we find more of Amanda Bucci and everything that you have to offer? Where can we find you?
Best place for you guys who are listening is definitely check out my podcast, Bucci Radio. That's where you're going to be finding a lot of similar content to what we talked about today. So if you like Attention Equals Dollars podcast, you're going to love Bucci Radio as well. So I would definitely say go there.
Awesome. And then Instagram, YouTube?
Yep, at Amanda Bucci on Instagram, and then Amanda Bucci on YouTube as well.
And it is Bucci, correct?
Yes, it's like Gucci with a B.
Oh, I like that. That's perfect. That must be fun to explain your name that way. Nestler, it's not really, there's nothing, it's like Nestle, only with an E-R, there's nothing fun that comes from that.
Close.
Awesome. Amanda, I appreciate you being on today, and thank you so much. Everybody, be sure to obviously, again, like, subscribe, rate the podcast, like us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and remember, you have to get attention. When you get attention online, it will transform your business, and attention equals dollars. We'll see you guys next week. Is your business struggling right now? You might think that it's because you don't have enough sales, but the reality is it's because you don't have the attention of the marketplace. This is Attention Equals Dollars, where you'll learn to master digital attention and turn that attention into sales for your business. I'm your host, Luke Nestler. I'm a digital marketing expert and a master at getting attention and turning that attention into sales. You deserve more. Your business deserves more. And I'm here to teach you everything that I know on how to get the attention that you need and to turn that attention into dollars.